Imagine discovering texts on your partner's phone that confirm your worst suspicions, a workplace affair that had been developing right under your nose. Instead of an emotional confrontation, what if you became a detective in your own relationship? This story follows one betrayed partner's strategic journey from discovery day to empowerment, methodically gathering evidence while preparing an exit plan that would leave their cheating partner completely stunned. What happens when careful planning meets the perfect moment of revelation? Before I dive into the full story, I want to welcome you all to X by X Confidential, where we share stories of relationship challenges and how people overcame them. Thank you so much to everyone who's been watching our videos and supporting this channel. Your comments and messages mean the world to me, and I'm grateful for this amazing community we've built together. If you're finding value in these stories, please smash that like button and don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell to get notifications when we release our next video. Now, let's get into today's story of strategic planning after betrayal. I'm using a burner account because my regular one has too many connections to mutual friends. I'm writing from my apartment in the downtown area of a rainy northwestern city, where the constant drizzle outside my window matches my mood these days. My partner and I have been together for 4 years. We met during my final year of college at a local coffee shop near campus, the kind with exposed brick walls and string lights that seem magical when you're young and hopeful. The early days were everything I dreamed of: weekend hikes along foggy coastal trails, cozy nights cooking dinner in our first tiny studio apartment, and making plans for a future that seemed so certain. The first signs appeared about 8 months ago. Small things at first. Working late at the marketing firm where they'd recently been promoted, being unusually protective of their phone, mentioning a new colleague's name just a little too often in conversation. The presentation I'm working on with this person went really well. This person had this brilliant idea for the new campaign. This person, and I might have to work late again tonight. Always this same person from work. I tried to ignore the knot in my stomach. I told myself I was being paranoid, that insecurity wasn't a good look. After all, people work closely with colleagues all the time without crossing lines, right? But then came the weekend work events I wasn't invited to, the sudden gym membership they'd signed up for with some people from work, and the text notifications they'd suddenly start hiding whenever I entered the room. Discovery Day happened on a Thursday evening. My partner was in the shower, and their phone lit up on the kitchen counter. I'd never been the type to snoop, but something about the repeated notifications from the same person made my hand reach for the device before I could stop myself. The message preview showed enough. Last night was amazing. Can't wait to see you again tomorrow. When confronted, they denied everything. This person's just a friend from work. We're close because we work on the same team. The first lie. 3 days later, after I'd been distant and quiet, they admitted to maybe some harmless flirting, but nothing physical, I swear. The second lie, the trickle truth had begun. I nodded and pretended to accept this explanation. I even forced myself to smile and say, "I trust you." The biggest lie of all came from my own mouth. That night, while they slept beside me, I made a decision. Instead of explosive confrontations or tearful ultimatums, I would watch and wait. I would gather evidence. I would know everything before making my next move. I should mention that around this time, they also started changing their appearance. New clothes, new haircut, new cologne I'd never smelled before. Classic signs I was too blind to see clearly. Over the next few weeks, I became a detective in my own relationship. I noted patterns: Wednesday night team meetings that always ran until 10 p.m., gym sessions on Saturday mornings when they used to sleep in with me, text messages that made them smile in a way they no longer did with me. Each observation was like a small paper cut to my heart, painful but not enough to make me break down. One night while they were working late, I checked our shared laptop's browser history and found searches for romantic restaurants across town, nowhere near their office. I saw hotel bookings made and then carefully deleted from email. But the confirmation text still came through on our shared cell phone plan that they'd forgotten I had access to online. The final piece came when a mutual friend from their workplace texted me, "Hey, is everything okay between you two? Saw your partner and that coworker looking pretty cozy at the restaurant across from our office yesterday. Thought you should know." Everything inside me wanted to explode, to call and scream, to show up at their office and create a scene. Instead, I thanked our friend, closed my eyes, and took a deep breath. The I knew all along reveal would come, but only when I was ready, only when I had protected myself. I called a lawyer the next day, not to file for divorce, we weren't married, but to understand my options about our shared apartment lease, our joint bank account, and the furniture we'd bought together. The lawyer, a kind-eyed woman with photos of her dogs on her desk, listened patiently, and then helped me create a checklist of things to gather and steps to take before confrontation day. "Protect yourself first," she said. "Emotions will be high when everything comes out." That night, as we sat across from each other at our dining table, picking at takeout from the Thai place around the corner, they asked if something was wrong. "No," I said with a practiced smile. "Just tired. Work has been busy." They nodded, relieved not to have to dig deeper, and returned to their phone. I watched their face light up at a new message, saw the small smile they thought I wouldn't notice. I was already gone in their mind. I just hadn't told them yet. A CT2, investigation and planning. The hardest part wasn't discovering the betrayal. It was pretending everything was normal while I methodically planned my exit. I became an actress in my own life, smiling at appropriate moments, making small talk over breakfast at our kitchen counter, and even maintaining our Friday movie nights on the gray couch we'd picked out together at that Scandinavian furniture store when we first moved in together. Behind this facade, I was gathering evidence and preparing. I took photos of all important documents, birth certificate, passport, insurance papers, and stored them in a password-protected folder. I started setting aside small amounts of money from each paycheck into a new account at a different bank. I researched apartments in a neighborhood across town, near the waterfront park where I used to go running before our relationship consumed my identity. I spoke with another mutual friend who confirmed they'd seen my partner and that coworker holding hands under the table at the office holiday party. This friend had assumed I knew and that we might have some kind of arrangement. The humiliation burned worse than the betrayal. The most painful discovery came when I found hotel receipts in their jacket pocket while doing laundry. A boutique place downtown with rooftop views of the bay, just 15 minutes from our apartment. They couldn't even be bothered to go somewhere far away. While I'd been working late to save for our future, they'd been spending money on room service and champagne with someone else. I met with the lawyer twice more. Each meeting made my plan more concrete. I learned about my rights regarding the security deposit on our apartment, how to remove myself from our shared utilities, and the importance of documenting all valuable items we'd purchased together. The lawyer suggested taking time-stamped photos of everything in our apartment as evidence of our shared assets. "Document everything," she advised. "People can become unrecognizable during breakups." Meanwhile, my partner seemed to sense something shifting between us. They started bringing home flowers for no reason, suggesting weekend getaways to the mountains, and texting more frequently throughout the day. This sudden attention felt like salt in my wounds. I started keeping a journal of all incidents, times, dates, and evidence I'd found, not for legal purposes, but for myself, so I wouldn't second-guess my decision later, when nostalgia and loneliness might tempt me to return. I found an apartment in a modern building with security doors and a gym in the basement. It cost more than I wanted to spend, but the idea of a fresh start in a place my partner had never entered seemed worth every penny. I signed a lease to begin the following month and paid the deposit from my secret account. I boxed up my most treasured possessions when my partner wasn't home: photo albums from before we met, jewelry from my grandmother, the collection of first edition books I'd been gathering since college, and stored them at a friend's house under the guise of decluttering. Looking back, I realize now that our relationship had been deteriorating long before the affair. The passion had faded into comfortable routine, and neither of us had worked to maintain the connection that once felt so effortless. This doesn't excuse the betrayal, but it helps me understand the fertile ground on which it grew. My partner finally asked the question I'd been waiting for one night, as we sat on opposite ends of the couch, the distance between us physical and emotional. "Are you thinking about leaving me?" Their voice cracked with the hint of tears I couldn't tell were genuine. "Why would you ask that?" I deflected, not ready yet to show my hand. "You seem distant, like you're already gone." "I'm just tired," I said, the same excuse I'd been using for weeks. "Things at work are stressful." They nodded, seemingly relieved to accept this simple explanation rather than dig for a truth they might not want to face. That night, as they slept beside me, I finalized my exit date, the following Saturday when they would be at their regular gym session with that coworker. Update 8 days later. I've secured my new apartment and have been slowly moving essential items when my partner isn't home. They haven't noticed the gradually emptying closet or the missing books from our shelves. It's amazing what people don't see when they're preoccupied with their own secrets. Yesterday, I overheard a phone conversation where they were making plans for a weekend away at a cabin by the lake, a trip they haven't mentioned to me. The puzzle pieces keep falling into place, confirming what I already know. The confrontation day approaches, and strangely, I feel calmer than I have in months. The certainty of my decision brings a peace I didn't expect. I've started researching gyms near my new apartment and looking into therapy options covered by my insurance. My lawyer helped me draft a division of assets document that I'll present during our final conversation. Tomorrow, I'll remove myself from our joint accounts and credit cards. The groundwork is laid. Soon, the pretending will end, and the truth will finally have its day. The confrontation happened on a rainy Saturday afternoon, fitting for the northwestern atmosphere that had been the backdrop of our entire relationship. As planned, my partner had left for their usual gym session while I finished packing the last of my belongings into labeled boxes. I texted a simple message: "We need to talk when you get home. It's important." They returned early, face flushed not from exercise but from panic. They found me sitting calmly at our dining table, a folder of evidence between us, printed text messages, hotel receipts, photos from social media posts they thought I'd never see, and the detailed timeline of the affair I'd constructed over the past months. "What is all this?" they asked, though the color draining from their face told me they already knew. "The truth," I said, my voice steadier than I'd expected, "about you and that coworker." What followed was the textbook reaction. First denial, then anger at me for spying, followed by minimizing it wasn't serious, and finally, when none of that worked, the tears and desperate apologies. The Trickle truth continued even then, admitting only to what I could prove with evidence. Then the desperation began. They fell to their knees in front of me, sobbing uncontrollably, clutching at my hands. "Please, please don't leave me," they begged, tears and snot making their face almost unrecognizable. "I'll do anything. I'll quit my job. I'll cut off all contact. I'll give you all my passwords. I'll go to therapy. Just please don't go." I explained my plans. I had signed a lease on a new apartment, opened my own bank accounts, and divided our shared possessions according to who had purchased what. I slid the asset division document across the table, alongside my set of keys to our shared apartment. "I move out today. My name will be off the utilities by Monday. I've paid my half of next month's rent as notice." They became hysterical, alternating between loud sobs and frantic promises. "We can fix this. I made one mistake. 4 years shouldn't end because of one mistake." They pounded their fist against their own chest, as if physically punishing themselves. "I'll die without you. I can't breathe without you." "You can't just leave," they said, grabbing my wrists so tightly they left marks. "We need to talk about this, work through it. I'll sleep on the couch. I'll do whatever you want. Just don't leave today." "We're beyond that point," I replied, gently but firmly removing their hands from my wrists. "My friends will be here in 20 minutes to help with my boxes." As if on cue, a text arrived from my support team waiting at the coffee shop down the street. The timing couldn't have been more perfect. Update, 2 weeks later. The barrage of texts and calls hasn't stopped. Flowers delivered to my workplace that I promptly gave to the receptionist. Emails with lengthy apologies and promises to change. A handwritten letter slipped under my apartment door somehow, though I hadn't shared my new address. They've shown up at my parents' house, at my favorite coffee shop, at my gym, anywhere they think I might be. Each time, they're more disheveled, eyes red-rimmed from crying, clothes wrinkled as if they've been sleeping in them. Yesterday, they waited outside my office building for 3 hours in the rain without an umbrella, just to beg for 5 minutes of conversation. They've reached out to every mutual friend, pleading for intervention. They've sent screenshots of therapy appointments they've made, pictures of the self-help books they're reading, even a receipt for a promise ring they bought for when you come back. The desperation is exhausting to witness, even from a distance. I've maintained the living well is the best revenge approach. Instead of responding to the desperate messages, I've channeled my energy into creating my new life. I joined a local gym with morning yoga classes that have become my daily ritual. I've reconnected with friends I'd neglected during the relationship. I've repainted my new bedroom a calming sage green, a color my ex always vetoed because it was too boring. My ex is desperate. They've lost weight, looking gaunt from what mutual friends tell me is hardly eating. Their parents called me, concerned about their mental health, asking if I would just talk to them once. I'm still using this burner account, but not because I'm hiding anymore. Rather, this chapter of my life has closed, and I'm writing from a place so different that it feels like it happened to someone else entirely. And in many ways, it did. Thank you so much for staying with me through this story. I hope it shows that even in our darkest moments, strategic planning can lead to empowerment and healing. If you found this helpful, please smash that like button and don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell to get notifications when we post our next video. This is X by X Confidential, and I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever had to strategically plan an exit from a relationship, and what helped you through that process? Your experiences might help someone else who's going through something similar right now. Until next time, remember that living well truly is the best revenge. Thank you so much for staying with me through this story. I hope it shows that even in our darkest moments, strategic planning can lead to empowerment and healing. If you found this helpful, please smash that like button and don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell to get notifications when we post our next video. This is X by X Confidential, and I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever had to strategically plan an exit from a relationship, and what helped you through that process? Your experiences might help someone else who's going through something similar right now. Until next time, remember that living well truly is the best revenge.